Hey everybody, before this week's show starts, I wanted to remind you I have a new video podcast called the Tag Team Talent Podcast. That's the Tag Team Talent Podcast, available on YouTube and Spotify, where I share videos of all the comics you've been listening to all these years. So if you get a chance, check out the Tag Team Talent Podcast right away. Hey, welcome to tonight's podcast. We got something exciting for you. It's our first interview show, and who best to do this interview than this young lady? She's like my sister. She's a best friend, and for the podcast, she represents and was the very first employee of my comedy club. So let's welcome Lynn Stobener.
Hello, nice to be here.
That was very friendly. Anyway, thanks for coming in and being the first guest of the podcast. I've been the first two podcasts I talk about the layout of a show and also how I got to opening the show, kind of the story that led up to it. And this is a great way to introduce people to what happened in August of 1980, where I had negotiated the rental of a banquet room in the restaurant Delta Queen in Old Sacramento. And we first opened the doors, and it was literally just me. I would take down a room, set up the room, do the show, take down the room, set it up for the restaurant for the next day. And lo and behold, my dear family member jumped up and helped out.
I do remember, I was at the second show. I do know that as a patron with my sister Mary. I did not know what it was. All I remember is you saying something about, it's like the Comedy Store. So I thought it was like a joke store. I thought like you're going to be selling, little stupid joke
whoopee
books.
cushions and stuff.
Which I think you eventually did, but that was branching out afterwards. And then...
now, if I remember, you were about 16 at the time?
I was 15.
15.
In high school.
We were breaking all the laws.
Oh, that's probably the most innocent law you broke. Wait, that sounded totally wrong. So edit that out. No, I had ventured into the workforce by getting my first job, which was actually not Laughs. It was Burger King for 3 weeks, and I despised it on so many levels. Just the outfit alone, I hated it. So
it was a clothing decision.
Well, no, nobody should be forced to wear brown polyester near an open flame or a closed frame because it was charboiled because it was Burger King. Anyway, I hated it, and so my first job lasted 3 weeks, and then my second job at Laughs Unlimited lasted 13 years. So
Not a bad start as a young lady. No. Well, what I remember was that I was trying to do this just on a whim, didn't know what I was doing. I had opened this comedy club, and I was all by myself. And this was even before Bob got involved, your brother, Bob Stobener, who ended up being one of my partners. But back in the day, it was just me, and I needed help seating people. It was very difficult to watch the door, collect the money, and seat the people. And because we were family, I kind of said, hey, Lynn, you want to come down and help out? And that's what I remember.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I don't remember even paying you much at first.
I remember, okay, like I said, I remember being at Paradise Beach before my shift at Burger King thinking how miserable I was. And I remember that I really liked that comedy club place that you had opened. And I don't remember when I started working there, except for the fact that it was Fridays and Saturdays, and I got paid $5 a show. That was
Mr. Big Bucks.
It sounds like slave labor, but when you think about it, all I did was seat the people, which was probably only 45 minutes.
That's true.
But then I had to stay there. Job. I did have to stay in Old Sacramento for the next show and then do my second 45 minutes worth of work. Oh, and then I had to help clean up. So that was almost
and
close
you were
to
like
2
15,
hours of
16,
work.
So we're definitely talking child abuse in the labor market.
Oh, you know when? I must have started, it had to be because I remember when I got my license, and I got my license on my 16th birthday, I remember driving down to Old Sac to work that night. And I remember that I missed the little exit into the brick parking structure, and I went over the Tower Bridge, and I didn't realize that all of a sudden you're on the freeway then. And, you know, to a first-time
driver, that's pretty shocking.
Yeah, I thought, oh, my God, I'm in San Francisco. Oh, no, I got to die. But then I turned around, and I made it.
Well, I got to tell you, it's been many years, but what I remember was that you stepped up, and I wasn't making any money. In fact, the first 6 months I was losing money at the club. And you stepped up and helped out, and it wasn't costing me an arm and a leg. And then you brought in a few of your friends, occasionally would show up on the busier nights to help out. And that's really how the club got going. It was me, you, and a couple friends. Mm-hmm. And for the first 6 months to a year, it kind of just ran that way as we were getting our feet going and working towards what it really would end up being. But I've always appreciated the fact that you were there to help out. And just so the audience understands, she didn't stay a $5 a night seater.
No. But, I mean, it was the best. I mean, because, yeah, as we got busier, you asked if I had any other friends, which is kind of a pathetic question when you ask that. Yes, I do. I do have other friends. So I would finally bring in, I think it was Nori first, and then Pam, and then Leslie, and then Cindy, and then Chris. Anyway, but I do remember an argument one night because it was getting busy. It actually got busy really quick, I thought. I mean, considering.
I was pretty successful. I mean, I wasn't making money for the first 6 months, but the concept of a live comedy club in Sacramento, which was a pretty sleepy town at the time, did catch on pretty fast. And I lucked out because the Rich Simon was working as a entertainment editor at the Sacramento Union, a now defunct paper, and he was desperate to talk about entertainment in Sacramento, and there wasn't much. And he found out about the club and started showing up every week and gave us these horrendous reviews.
Really?
Oh, yeah. He would talk about what the comics wore. He didn't understand comedy. He thought it was too dirty. But what was funny was I was getting a review almost weekly in the number 2 paper in this region, and it put me on the map much faster than if that hadn't happened.
Interesting. I didn't remember that.
Yeah. Well, that's why you're here. You're taking me off down memory lane. It's great. So you start off as what we lovingly called a seater, basically a hostess. You would take people to their tables and show them a menu and go on to the show.
Not even the menu at
the first club. Okay.
At the
Delta Queen.
Delta Queen. No,
that's true.
Just, here you are. Thank you. Your waitress will be with you shortly.
Yeah, I should explain at the Delta Queen, I was able to wangle a deal with Rich Will, who was an attorney that owned this restaurant, that he got the food and drink, and I kept the door. And I didn't have to pay rent for the room because he was making money off the food and drink, and he had his own wait staff. And I was just doing the door, paying my seaters $5 a night, and paying the comics, and crossing my fingers I can make some money. But I wanted to more about you. So you really well explained your first experience in the club, coming in as an audience member.
Yes.
Now, as a hostess, do you remember some of the early acts? Do you remember some of the?
Yeah, I mean, I remember Gary Shandling. Although I think it was Gary Shandling.
We got his name wrong the first week. Don't tell anybody.
I remember Paula Poundstone. She to me is like the big memory because she would work our club all the time and she just was not very good. And then it was over at Firehouse Alley and it was like all of a sudden it clicked and she knew how to get out what she wanted to say and she knew how to deliver it. And she really, really, really liked this backpack at Shakey's Pizza. It was a plastic backpack and she really liked it, so we bought her the Shakey's backpack and gave it to her that week because it was like that was like the week that it just clicked. And
oh, that's great. Yeah, Paula was one of those acts that I just really liked, and I thought she had a lot of potential, but she was struggling at first. It was hooking her up. She was the opening act, basically, for several of the acts that were coming through at the time that were bigger names in comedy, Will Durst and Bob Saget and some of the others. And every time she worked with somebody, she would learn something. In fact, Paula Poundstone is one of the only acts that I allowed to work back-to-back weeks at the club because I knew it would help her do better. But it's interesting that in the 40-year history of the club, no comic, well, I won't say no comic, but very few comics ever worked back-to-back weeks that were coming from out of town, and she was out of the Bay Area at the time. So Paula has that going for her that we gave her an opportunity to grow on our stage. All right, we're going to take a quick break and hear from our sponsor, and then we'll be back with more conversation and comedy from Lynn Stobener.
This episode's sponsor is DR Design and Remodel, flooring, tile, carpentry, and more. Located in beautiful Elk Grove, California at 10461 Grant Line Road, just off Highway 99 near Sacramento. They do amazing bathroom and kitchen remodels, from design to construction completion. Totally professional in every way. Their showroom features beautiful fixtures, a wide range of flooring, and design ideas to boggle the mind. Their on-site design staff will guide you through to see your dream home come true. So call DR Design and Remodel at 916-269-0451 to set an appointment or visit their showroom today. We want to thank DR Design and Remodel for being our sponsor.
As a teenager, I was working with my friends, and then we got to see great comedy for free, but then we also got to just, after we sat the house, we just got to run around old Sacramento. And I mean, it sounds so silly and stupid, but we just had the best time. And then
I mean, it's kind of a great job. You're working around comedy, which is fun. Once you did your job, you were free. You were hanging out with your friends and getting paid for it. Not much at the time, but it worked out into something. Yeah. Yeah.
No, it was. I mean, I loved it. And then, of course, when we moved over to Firehouse Alley, and then,
it became a little more real. Just to let the audience know. So I was working out of the Delta Queen restaurant for about a year and a half, and the owners of the restaurant realized how well I was doing and starting to make money. And the owners, being somewhat sinister, had decided to boot me out and take over the room. And the staff, the wait staff who liked me, kind of whispered in my ear that, hey, they're planning to kick you out as of such and such a date. And so I quickly, without telling anybody, went to work and arranged to rent space over at the Firehouse Alley location, 1124 Firehouse Alley, and we fixed up the club. And what was amazing was we shut down at the Delta Queen location on a Sunday, and we opened up in the new location the very next Tuesday, and they had no idea I'd done this. They tried to continue to run the club, brought in some crazy Catskills act, the Maytag Man. What was his name? God. Yeah, and he was racist and horrible and not funny, and it was like 40s Catskills humor. And White was his name. And anyway, they lasted about 3 weeks. And in the meantime, I had...
and all their staff came to work for you.
Yes. And then we had opened up this room at Firehouse Alley, and because it was... empty, we got to design it exactly the way we wanted.
That was my senior, work experience? My work experience that last semester of high school, I would go to the club in the daytime, and I helped Richie, paint, and I helped build the club. And then that was when I got pulled over on my motor scooter by a biker cop. I was scarred for life trying to ride up that hill on my motor scooter going home.
And he pulled you over?
Because I didn't come to a complete stop, because I was afraid if I came to a complete stop, I'd roll back down the hill.
Well, I didn't know that story. Well, it was amazing once we got into the new room. It was a perfect comedy room. It was in a basement.
I remember opening night.
Low ceiling.
It was like packed, and it was.
And by the way, people, you could still smoke in a club then, and we were in a basement, low ceiling room. It was a interesting feeling. It had that kind of
it was cavern, like the Beatles.
Yeah, it was like the cavern. It was like a underground jazz club, only it was stand-up comedy, which was perfect for comedy. And the comics loved it. And we had a big green room. Remember the green room at the Delta Queen? It was the electrical closet. And the comics, and some of them were big names. Mm-hmm. I'll tell the story later, but Tom Hanks came through one week.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Bosom buddies, and he tried to do stand-up.
Yeah, and Bob Saget and a few other people. And they're waiting in this electrical room to go on stage. It was it was an amazing time. And what was really helpful to me was all the comics wanted us to succeed. Mm-hmm. And so there was a plethora of advice being offered that helped us guide us through these early years.
Wasn't the story that you and Bob and all those, you guys went down to LA and you saw just to go down, right? And then you went to the Comedy Store or something, and you guys thought, hey, this would be fun in Sacramento or whatever. But you met like Dave Coulier and Bob Saget, and they gave you advice and all that? Or
Yeah, no, you have most of the story. It's actually in episode 1. Go back and listen to episode 1. It was me and Patty, my first wife,
right.
soon-to-be ex-wife.
Right, that's right.
And we were on vacation, and we went by and met those guys, and they really helped us out. So let's get back to you. At what point, because at this point, you were a seater, and then you became a hostess. And when we got to the new room, you were the boss. You were the head hostess.
I was.
And then you were the kitchen manager. And you pretty much corralled my host staff. I
think our union cards say Silver Cedars.
The Silver Cedars.
And the entire official name is Silver Cedars and the Tripods.
Yes.
Silver Cedars for the Beatles when they were the Silver Beatles, and Tripods because there were 3 Philpott employees.
I did not know the background of the Silver Cedar story.
Yes,
I didn't know that's what it was from. But what's interesting is we had the best dressed hostesses in Old Sac, if not anywhere, because we had white tuxedo coats made up. Us. Yeah, made to fit the girls. And they you guys looked great.
Now you're making it sound like, the Playboy bunnies. They were made to fit, yes, with our 501 jeans and our Vans tennis shoes and our, little T-shirts.
Yeah, but whatever you're wearing, you put on that white
like bunnies. We were just...
No, but you're like 16 years old.
Good.
We were very careful.
Very fashionable.
But you'd put on these white tuxedo jackets, and you guys did look good. And it gave the place a little air of class at the time. But what I remember, again, trying to give you some credit, was that I was busy learning how to MC and run the club and manage a bar and hire waitresses and all that. And I know that you took a lot of pressure off me by kind of helping to coordinate the seating staff, the host staff, and what happened in the kitchen in those early days. And so thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome.
But it was... I felt a good education for you at that age in your first job. What are we all trying to learn? How to interact with the public. And what teaches you faster than dealing with the public in a nightclub? I mean, not always easy.
No, especially when I was young and I looked younger, and people are dealing with were older and sometimes drunk, and, I didn't just, command authority always.
Well, we were all young. I was 25, and I may have even looked a little younger. I remember one drunk guy, I wouldn't let him in the club because he was drunk before the show even started. And he got really upset. And he goes, "I want to talk to the owner." And I said, "Sir, I am the owner." He goes, "No, not you, your father."
Oh.
I said, "Sir, I'm the owner, and if you want, I'll call the cops to prove it."
Yeah.
He left, by the way. I had other incidents involving the police, but he left.
I remember, it was funny. I remember working one night and someone coming up and asking for an application. And I just remember thinking, I just kind of stood there. I go, well, we don't really hire people. Because for the longest time, no one quit.
Right, and nobody. Not only did no one quit because they're all family and friends, not just the hostesses, but even in the bar, I ended up hiring my old high school buddies.
Yeah, that's right.
And then my children, Bridget and Bobby, were working there. Bobby, when he was like 10, was doing trash runs, and Bridget was learning how to work in the kitchen. And we all kind of grew up in this new adventure we called comedy. It was kind of interesting. But we've kind of gotten away from comedy. So tell me, what were some of the acts that you really liked?
Well, I have to, because you brought up the silver cedar jacket.
Oh,
and
yes.
I do have to remember when I finally did have someone say that they were going to leave and I needed to replace them. I had to pull the Brady Bunch Johnny Bravo playbook out because, and I remember because I had some friends come in that night, and I just happened to say, to one of the friends, I said, "Well, are you interested?" It was Natalie, and I asked, "Hey, would you be interested in working?" And she said she couldn't, but her friend Jill might be interested. And I had to look at Jill and thinking, not, are you smart? Do you know how to count change back? I had to look at her dimensions to see if she would fit in the suit, in the Johnny Bravo tuxedo jacket, basically. And because she fit the jacket, she's now your wife.
Well, that's a whole nother story. That's true. Jill got a
lot
job.
of stuff happened between the jacket and the
a lot of
thing.
stuff happened. But she did get her job because she fit the jacket.
And she's a great employee, thank God. Maybe that's how we should hire everybody.
It would be neat if other companies did that. Hey, welcome to Apple. Try these pants on.
Yeah. I think it does happen in other companies before the Me Too movement, and now it's more like, do you fit in this G-string?
Oh,
so
well.
Again, it's not that kind of thing.
No. And we want to make sure everybody understands. Everybody was 15, 16, 17.
Well, my part.
Yeah, but young people, and I was young too,
right.
And we were very conscious of making sure that everybody was treated respectfully, and we did that how? You remember the rules?
Well, yeah, but that's no.
No, they weren't ever followed. I found out later.
No, but I followed them. Dumb me. No, I'm just kidding.
I had created some...
There was one rule. I mean, there was more than one rules, and I have the rules somewhere, but it's rule number 8 that it was famous.
Rule number 8 was the famous one where I made it clear to all the entertainers if they were going to work for me, it was hands off the staff. And I made the staff know that, hey, it's hands off the comics, because I'd heard in other clubs that it had become a problem with sex and dating and other issues that would come up. And because I had an especially young staff, I was determined to avoid that problem in my club. So I came up with this list of rules. But rule number 8 became the famous one because that was no messing with the talent.
Right. And it definitely, I bet you any ex-Laugh employee could, if you said rule number 8, they knew what that.
They'd crack up probably. Well, I broke that.
Then, right. And then you hear the stories of, who broke what with whom.
Well, I found out later. At the time I was pretty naive as a boss. I trusted everybody. I let everybody handle money and I found out after I sold the club in talking to people over a round of drinks, oh yeah, so-and-so was ripping you off, and rule number 8 was broken on a regular basis, and it was like, it just crushed me. I didn't say anything.
Well, I don't think, I don't know. I would venture to say that it probably did happen less at our place than.
Oh, I'm sure it happened less than other clubs, and it was never the hostesses, it was the waitresses. Sure. The waitresses, who are more mature and older, broke rule number 8 once in a while. But let's go back to comedy. What comics do you remember? See if you can tell me 2 or 3 that you thought really stood out and you thought, hey, they're going to be big, or you really respected him.
Larry Miller.
He was great. Still is.
Of course. I mean, Dana Carvey.
Okay, let's make it easier. Who are the ones that didn't go over well with you, who you didn't like? Did anybody mistreat you, or they... Oh, maybe that's the wrong way to put it. What comics did you feel were doing well in show business and you couldn't understand why?
Well, there is one, and this sounds horrible because he was a very, very nice guy, and I don't know why I was necessarily surprised, but Kevin Nealon. I mean, I thought
really?
That sounds horrible, but it's just like And I'm not see now, you say Kevin Nealon, everybody's, remembers the last
Saturday Night
30
Live
years of
and
whatever,
movies, right.
But like as a comic, he was fine, but I don't know he didn't like stand out as much as killing the crowds as others that,
Didn't seem like the future star he became.
Right.
That makes sense.
That said, that's just, that wasn't saying he wasn't funny. It was just, he was a surprise, like I would have never guessed.
Yeah. I remember, the people I remember, the ones that I thought were really funny and didn't make it. Well, they made it, but not like they're not famous. Peter Galke, for example, was really one of those acts that you could just totally bizarre, totally off the wall, always really entertain the audience. And he did some movies and he did a lot of writing, right. But he's not a household word.
That is the thing. It's like every once in a while I'll see that someone, the head writer's like, oh, wow, he used to work our club all the time. I never really
Well, you know who the most famous is? Ed Solomon.
Yeah, he's definitely
he ended up doing television and movies and made millions doing it. But as a stand-up, he really wasn't that good.
Right.
And in fact, I had many sit-downs with him about how good his material was, but how bad his presentation was. And he just didn't have that personality. But it turned out he could write, and he ended up writing for a living and is now quite famous.
Right. I think that that's not the most uncommon thing, because there are people that have a stage presence and they have that something, and their material's not necessarily that strong. And it, just like people can have very funny stuff, but they might not necessarily be likable on stage.
Yeah, that's happens. Well, speaking of being likable on stage, you went from being a hostess to a kitchen manager to actually being a manager and running a couple of my clubs. You were rock solid employee and could never thank you enough. But right now I want to ask you, what made you decide to become a comic? Because I had asked you to MC and you really liked it and you got good at it, but you actually started writing material and performed professionally. What brought that on, or did anybody inspire you? Well,
I always felt like I had a little ham in me, and I like to entertain. I like to make people laugh. And so but I was also shy, which was kind of weird. Actually, it's not that weird now that I've heard people's stories.
Actually, many comics are very insecure, and then the stage is their outlet. Yeah.
Right. So I remember, because I think we had gone to the movies, and I had said that I think I want to try emceeing. And so that was like on a Sunday night. And so I did it, and I really liked it. And I remember, because this is when I was playing basketball at Sac State, and all of a sudden I got this high, that love of wanting to be on stage, and it's like that's all I wanted to do. And so,
well, you were a really good MC, but you did transition
because I wanted to be,
unlike me. I felt I was a good MC, but I never had that interest in doing a set. Now, granted, some comics said I did a set. Yeah. Because I did like being on stage.
Yes.
But I didn't write material. You actually wrote some very funny material. And was there anything that made that switch?
Because I think there are things that are funny, and I like to say things that are funny.
So you started writing, and then I don't remember the first time you did an actual set versus being an MC.
Yeah, I don't either.
Okay, well, that's okay.
But that's the only time I really wish that we had cell phones and stuff back then, so that we would have been able to document all this stuff.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of it's lost. But you know what's not lost?
Oh, no.
I have a set coming up. This is from Laughs in the Park. We had done concerts in William Land Park, sponsored by the city police department and the Sacramento Bee. And we had anywhere from 5,000 to, at one point we had 13,000. We did about 5 of these things. Anyway, I have a set coming up right now that Lynn did at one of those events. So sit back and enjoy.
Wait, can I make just a statement?
Oh, sure.
This was the 80s. I don't know if I remember it, but I'm sure it was topical, so it probably won't make any sense.
That's okay. It's going to be funny. You were always funny. Ladies and gentlemen, here's a set.
This next entertainer not only is from right here in Sacramento, was also the semifinalist in the San Francisco Comedy Competition, is definitely Sacramento's top comic entertainer and is opening all this week for Jay Johnson in Old Sacramento. But she is also the only female comic for the day. Let's hear it for Lynn Stobener.
I'm so glad this is happening. This is amazing. Oh, God. Let's see. Oh, wasn't Jerome stay with Michael Jackson great? I love that bit. Go ahead. Applaud it. It's funny, I watched MTV today and I saw Michael Jackson's video, Dirty Diana. Have you seen this one? This is the one where he takes off his shirt. What a bod, huh? I haven't seen a bod like that since Bobby Brady took off his shirt to go into the dunk tank, so... That is so scary we can relate to the Brady Bunch. The Partridge Family, too. I can't even watch LA Law because of Susan Day, you know what I'm saying? I just know one episode she's gonna go up to that podium and go, "Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I think I love you." See, I watched way too much TV as a kid. I was madly in love, passionately in love with Speed Racer. Oh, yeah. Oh, the guys are saying yeah. Oh, that's very scary. All right, Racer X, dude, right there. He always sounded like he was going into labor when he was driving the Mach 5, though. Oh. I don't know. It's very funny. Speaking of going into labor, a great friend of mine just had her first kid 2 weeks ago. She went into labor on a Monday and delivered the kid on a Wednesday. Guys, it's like not being able to fart for a week, okay? And then, she didn't want any medication. I want to be put out from the time that I find out that I'm pregnant till it can support me, okay? Been doing some traveling. I just got back from Fresno. Whew, party town. It's very funny. I stayed at the Hilton and there was a Shriner convention. Apparently Shriner is Spanish for alcoholic. Gotta be pretty messed up to wear those hats, you know? Ice buckets with dental floss, that's what it is. It is nice to be back in Sacramento. This is a great place to live. It's like, do you go bowling or bury people in your front yard, you know? I've been doing a lot of a survey though, and it seems like, let me take a little survey here. How many men, by round of applause, usually pay for the expenses on the date? Look at it. It's usually always the same. I think God said, let men get the bills, women get periods. Ladies, don't you love it when your boyfriend comes up to you and goes, "Honey, I got a cramp in my foot." Then you can just go, "Suffer, wench." There's some Midol, call me in a week. Okay. Another little survey here. How many women out there love to shop for clothes? Oh, yeah. It's our pastime. Actually, I love getting clothes, but I hate to shop for them. Because I go to the stores and I see the clothes on the mannequins, and they look great, and I put them on, and I look like Rhoda Morgenstern. But I figured out why. Gotta have that pull up the rear action going. Of all places to put a pull, huh? Yeah. See, I went by this store Pretty and Plump the other day. That's actually a true store. Found that very insulting. What kind of advertisements could you have for stores like this? Madge, where'd you get that lovely outfit? Well, I was shopping down at the Pretty and Deformed store. Couldn't find a thing there, so I got it at Wagner's Big and Beast-like. What do you think, huh? Of course, the stores that are the most ridiculous are the supermarkets. The Bel Air of my apartment complex actually has seatbelts in the shopping carts for the kids. Apparently there's a problem with some deranged mothers taking those corners a little too sharp, I guess. Next thing you know, they have like airbags in the shopping carts. God forbid there's any of those Pinto card cases. You're shopping around, all of a sudden, Ron, we've got flames on aisle 9. I had to go toy shopping the other day, and that was kind of wild. I don't know, toys on the market today are pretty much garbage. I love the stuff I got when I was a kid. Games like Operation, good fun. Made you a little neurotic. We used to hook up my game to my grandfather's pacemaker and zap it on purpose. That was fun. Twister was another good game. Ooh, all right, Twister people. My sister actually lost her virginity in that game. Now whenever she hears right hand on green, she breaks down in a cold sweat. But toys today are garbage. They actually still sell those Cabbage Patch dolls. $90 an ugly tomato, what a bargain. They have the regular Cabbage Patch dolls, they have preemies, twins, they actually have handicapped Cabbage Patch dolls, I saw that in People magazine. This year's newest model, though, is the abducted Cabbage Patch doll. No doll, just a milk carton with a picture of it on it, so. If you do have to get a game, though, you do have to purchase a toy, buy the Pictionary game. That's what we should do right now, is just have one big Pictionary game. There you go. This is my imitation of someone playing the Pictionary game. It was a picnic table, you bitch! Alright, you know how to play. How many people think Pictionary is for the people who just can't quite master Trivial Pursuit, huh? This is my imitation of me playing Trivial Pursuit. I don't know. Let's see. I'm usually in a pretty good mood, but a couple things have been bothering me. One, Cookie Crisp cereal is now giving away a Porsche, which should be wrong. What sort of leverage would you have with your child if they owned a Porsche? I'm grounded, Mom? Sure, enjoy the Mitsubishi Colt for the weekend, okay? Another thing that makes me mad is the toilet paper companies that find it necessary to glue the first 75 sheets of the roll together. The thing that really bothers me, though, that I have to do a lot is drive when I'm tired, because I can't keep myself awake. You know, I do the things they say, you know, turn up the radio real loud. I slap myself on the face. I then roll down the window and start doing this thing out of it. We all do this, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, I can't keep myself awake. I just start to run over things. It's like, no problem, just a pile of grass. Wearing a reflective collar, no problem, no problem. Best thing to do if you're ever bummed out, though, is to play practical jokes. Here's a couple good ones. Get some milkshakes and some chocolate donuts and go in front of those Jenny Craig weight loss centers. Just wait for them to come out. Want a bite? Or, next time, right before you go into your dentist's office, eat a bunch of Oreos. Yeah. Then just go, look, doc, they're all filled. The funnest thing to do, though, is if you're lucky enough to have a friend who has a phone in their car, borrow their car, call them up at home, start talking to them, saying stuff like, boy, your car drives great. Then go like this. And hang up. Ooh, it is so much fun. You guys are wild. I love you. Here's a real strange thought for you folks. You guys ever thought of your parents in a romantic interlude? Okay, just me. Fine. Okay. No, I mention this because one night as a kid, I actually walked in on my parents one night and I had no idea what they were doing. But years later, I remember thinking back how nice my dad looked in high heels and a leather miniskirt. Do have to apologize, I am very tired. I had this terrible dream last night. I had this nightmare that I became a state worker. I woke up, I was wearing a dress with tennis shoes. With a Shriner hat. Ooh. Anyway, before I get out of here, I got a couple ideas I want to share with you folks. Don't you think it'd be great to have drive-up stores? Wouldn't have to get out of your car, very convenient. Probably turn out to be like those fast food places, though. You'd pull up and it'd be like, welcome to Safeway drive-thru, can I take your order? Yes, I'll have some milk, some bread, and some extra strength Midol. Would you like any tampons with that? My final idea is I truly believe if you're driving down the road and you're getting pulled over by a cop, it should be like tag. If you can make it home before he catches you, you're safe. You guys have been great. Thanks for supporting comedy.
Wow, that was great.
That was great in the 80s.
You keep drilling down on that. Well, tell you what.
I had on a bolo tie. And contrary to popular belief, it was a bi-level haircut. It was not a mullet. There's a difference.
Well, it was funny. The audience loved it. And that particular concert, you were the only comedienne, female comic, on the stage. out of, I think we had 15 comics. So it was a little bit of pressure, but you knocked it out of the park.
Pshaw.
So tell you what, Lynn is such an important part to my history. We're going to have her back for another interview. But for right now, I'm going to say thanks for coming out. Folks, thanks for listening. We hope you got some fun out of hearing about Lynn and how important she was to being on the fringe of comedy entertainment and enjoyed her set.
Do I get to tell my the one time in high school when I was really popular?
Sure.
Because I had a visitor. Do you remember? Do you know what I'm going with this?
No, go for it.
Glenn Super,
Right.
Mr. Bullhorn, was dating a very popular actress at the time, Susan Richardson from Eight Is Enough.
Yes.
Yes, and I don't know. I got talking to Susan over the weekend, and she was very nice, and I do remember leaving that Saturday or Sunday. I saying, "Oh, hey, come by my school," joking. And then the next day at school, I got pulled out of class, and I walk out, and you're there, and Glenn Super's there, and Susan Richardson's there, and to say hi. So I got pulled out of class by a celebrity, and then we were going to go find like a class that she could talk to, like a drama class. And then my next teacher for my next class, he saw me in the hallway, and he said, "You better have a readmittance, or you're not going to get back into class." Scaring me because I'm walking around with a celebrity. And so I had to go to my counselor, and I was a little worried because I was skipping class to go to other classes with a celebrity. I had a celebrity friend. And then he said, so I went to my counselor, he said, "No problem, but why didn't you bring her in to introduce me?" So he was all upset because I didn't introduce him to Susan Richardson, but I was popular for a day because all the kids were whispering, "She knows Susan Richardson."
And Eight Is Enough was huge at the time. And Glenn Super was a great comic. We have since lost him. But,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, now I feel bad.
Sorry.
All right, well.
End on a high note. But that's a great story. So you were really popular for one day, and at McClatchy High School, by the way, one of the oldest schools in Sacramento, and everybody, I'm sure it spread around the school, she knows Susan Richardson.
They all wanted to ask me if I knew who was the Karate Kid, Ralph Macchio, because he was on like that last season, because ratings were dipping, and Susan wasn't, pulling her way down the show, so they had to bring in the Karate Kid, Ralph Macchio, so they were all asking if me and Ralph were an item.
Well, at least we made that day special.
Yes, it was very special.
All right, well, let's go back to the getting out of this. Hey, we'll have another podcast with Lynn in the near future, and we hope you enjoyed the stories and the set, and thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Stand Up Comedy, Your Host and MC. For information on the show, merchandise, and our sponsors, or to send comments to Scott, visit our website at www.standupyourhostandmc.com. Look for more episodes soon and enjoy the world of stand-up comedy. Visit a comedy showroom near you.